Hey everybody, welcome, and thank you for listening to this episode of Marriage Therapy Radio. My name is Zach Brittle. I'm here with Laura Heck. Today we're talking about boundaries and kind of how they work, and also whether or not sometimes setting boundaries can look or feel like manipulation. So we get into that. Laura is curious, and I think we hit on a couple of really good points. It's fun to bat these ideas around, and for me, it's really an exercise in exploring topics that maybe I haven't spent a lot of time thinking about. So I learned a thing or two. I'm going to keep leaning into this, and I hope that you will too. This is a very cool conversation. Stick around.
I've never told you that story.
No, I've never heard that story.
It
and
really,
I
it
will
feels
never
like that
forget
is
it.
the purpose of our relationship, is for me to share devastating moments over my career as a therapist.
Yeah.
I have
Laura just told me this really terrible story. If you want to hear more about it, you can go behind the scenes on Patreon, but we decided not to put it on the main podcast. But
I will give a hint.
for those of you who are invested in her, it's a powerful story and it's worth listening to. But
should we tease it just for a second?
you can if you want to.
So Zach goes, "Hey,
I was out of breath and I was making noises in the phone, and Laura was like, "That reminds me of it." And I was
That reminds me of a story with a client that I had. You can only imagine.
Speaking of singing, I want you to tell me about Wicked.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Has it been that long since we've seen each other?
Well, sort of. We've talked about other things, but I was confused by your response to my text about what you thought. And so I thought maybe I would just ask you in real life, like, what did you think? What was like, you went and did this thing, like
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was
So you went, by the way, you went to the musical. The movie's out right now. Yeah.
Yes.
But you went
and
to
I
the
had to
musical
go to
and
another
you sent me a
state in
picture.
order. Yeah. It was amazing. I should have been a drama nerd. I instead was an athlete, and I don't think I bridged that gap. Like, I think I just had too much on my plate when I was a kid. This is a little bit of a backstory, but I truly think I was meant to be on the stage. Well, I have, like every parent, gets to relive their, like all of their hopes and dreams through their child.
Yeah.
And so I'm just going to create a drama nerd through my child, which luckily he carries the same passion. So he is currently in drama as a fourth grader. He loves it. Right now he's working on improv, which I know you're a fan of. I showed him Whose Line Is It Anyway, which is hilarious because there's a lot of, he's at the age still where there's a lot of innuendos that he doesn't understand. So we can still kind of watch it and it doesn't feel all that inappropriate because it's over his head.
I went to Second City last weekend, like the Second City, which is like the training ground for Saturday Night Live. It's like the comedy club in Chicago.
Oh, that's where you were.
Yeah.
I was wondering where you were flying to and from. That's super cool.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I can tell you about that in a second, and also, by the way, it's theater kid, not drama nerd.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that like offensive?
Theater kid is like, I'm a theater kid. I'm not, drama
He's
nerd.
He's totally a theater kid and I love it.
I don't know, it's band geek. It's all this pejorative stuff. Maybe they embrace it, but my daughter's
totally.
a theater kid.
We embrace the nerd in our household because he's also a brainiac. And so we embrace nerd, dork, whatever language, nerd.
I'll tell you the reason I went to Chicago, but after I hear you here.
Thank you. I'm still on my conversation.
Well,
hold it. Hold it. We will get to you in a second.
It's fine. I don't need to. I'm just saying I went to Chicago for a very nerdy reason. So I'm one to talk, basically.
Okay.
Anyway.
All right. So I told my son our thing because he has sports with dad. Dad takes him skiing. Dad takes him to hockey. Dad
Golf.
Does all the sporty stuff. I said, our thing is that we will make a special occasion to go and see theater. And unfortunately, we live in Central Oregon and it is like podunk. There is nothing, that's probably an awful thing to say, but there's nothing around us. Literally, like the biggest box store that we have might be a TJ Maxx, maybe a Kohl's that's half run down. So we don't have access to theater. The closest one is Portland, 3.5 hours away. Anyway, I needed to see Wicked. I finally waited and I said, screw it, I'm doing it. I'm going to buy these tickets. And I spent way too much money on tickets. Worth it. I used points to fly to another state, to the state of Washington, and we flew in. We took the Amtrak up to go see Wicked. It was an incredible experience. After we saw Wicked, Holden danced through the streets, and he was like bouncing around, singing Popular. He loved it.
Mhm.
And I think I still enjoyed, even this was a musical. We just recently saw Cursed Child when we were in New York.
Mhm.
I
Yep.
think I liked Cursed Child better
Mm.
than Wicked, but the storyline of Wicked was so cool. I just
Yeah, that's what
love.
you wrote. I said, what did you think? You're like, we liked it. I dug the storyline. I was
Yeah.
like, I dug the storyline?
I dug the story. Well, because it's like it's the prequel to Wizard of Oz. So you're
Yeah.
understanding the relationship between these two witches and how they got there and the relationship. And not only that, but like how Tin Man became Tin Man and
Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert.
What?
Yeah. You're not supposed to tell people
I'm not
all
going
that
to say
stuff.
how it happened.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Got
it
it.
was great. It was fantastic. There was only one song that I was like, this is awful. This is a horrible
Which
song.
one was
It's
that?
the ballad, of course. It's like the ballad between what is not Belinda? What's the other name of the other
Belinda
witch?
and Elphaba.
Elphaba. Did I say
Yeah.
Belinda?
You did say Belinda. Yeah.
Belinda
Yeah.
and Elphaba. It's the
Yeah.
love story between Elphaba and her lover, and they have like this.
Fiyero.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, you know the names. You're really impressive. Who cares? Nobody cares.
Well, this is what I'm talking about. Like when you were like, it was great. I liked the storyline. I was like, wait a second. This musical has been tattooed in my soul since I was raising a theater kid. I've probably seen it 4 times. I've seen it twice on Broadway. We saw the movie last weekend. Like,
Yeah.
it's like it's memorized in our house. Like it's the soundtrack of our house.
Cool.
So I was like, you liked the storyline? But anyway, I'm glad to know that
Yeah.
your son was dancing in the streets and singing
Oh.
songs. Like that's the way it should go.
Yeah.
And so
yeah, it was incredible. When we walked out, he goes, "Mom, did you notice I was the first one to stand up and cheer them at the very end?" And I was like, "You were." I mean, he just was so enthusiastic. And for a 9-year-old to sit through 3 hours of theater, it's pretty impressive.
Are you going to take him to see the movie?
I have not seen the movie yet. I'm going to wait. Actually, we talked about this last night. I cannot sit. That is just a thing. I don't watch movies. As you know, we've tried to watch a movie and I lasted 15 minutes.
Yes.
Yeah. So we're going to wait until the movie comes out on like Prime or whatever. And then I'll watch it 9 times and see the whole thing through.
Yeah.
Okay.
The
Tell me
movie,
about
by the
Chicago.
way, spoiler alert, is actually only act 1 of the musical. So
that is also true because at the end of
People are
Act 1,
sad.
Holden
They're
looked at me. His eyes were as big as saucers. And he said, "Mom, this is where the movie left off. We have a whole nother act. There's more to this." He was pumped.
How does he know where the movie left off?
He watched the movie first. Then we saw the musical.
How did he watch the movie?
I think he went
to the
with
movie
friends.
theater?
Yeah. He went with friends.
Okay.
Yeah. I have to outsource those things because I do not go to theaters, as you know, because you've invited me. But
I don't think I've invited you to a movie theater.
You have.
Except for that like theater room you have in your house. To a movie theater? You and me? To a movie theater?
Yeah. When you were here, I think.
Oh, when I'm like,
Ryan,
I'm going to a movie.
went.
Do you want to come?
Yeah.
Right. That's the time I was going to go see Cocaine Bear, but instead I stole your friend's car.
That's right. That's so funny. Recap of that story.
This is oldies but goodies now that you're leaving
oldies but
me
goodies.
forever and I can never tell these stories again.
Yeah, I know you'll never have a chance to talk about him. Zach comes over to my house. We're teaching together. He's doing something and he's like, "Hey, can I take your car to go see a movie?" I was like, "Great." I think I said something like the keys are in the car or no,
I took the keys. I took the keys. They were in hanging
right,
up.
you
I just
took
took
the
your keys.
keys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I got in the wrong car.
What vehicle was it? It was the BMW.
It was like her BMW or something. I just got in it. It was in the driveway.
Yeah.
And her keys were in it.
There were 2 cars parked out in the driveway, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. 2 cars parked in the driveway. My girlfriend showed up. Becky shows up to run on my treadmill.
Yeah.
Zach hops in Becky's car.
Yep.
And Becky had left her keys in the car because that's Ben Dorgan for you.
And I just drove away.
And you just drove it to the movie theater.
Yeah.
Becky comes downstairs and she's like, "Where the hell's my car?" I'm like, how does that happen? There's a car and then there's an SUV and you got in the SUV and you drove away.
They were both SUVs. They were both little mini SUVs.
No, one is an SUV and the other is a sports car. And you got in the SUV.
No,
and
they
you drove
looked
away.
the same. They looked the same.
Not factual information.
Well,
clearly you are not a car guy, and I know that to be
I'm
true because I've driven in your vehicle and I criticized it deeply.
I love how you say vehicle and gentleman.
Do I sound like an old timey?
You're like, I've been in your vehicle. Anyway, I have another question I want to ask you. Is you texted me yesterday about a book that you want to write? Let's hear it. Yeah.
Yeah, so I've been kicking this idea around, and I know this to be true because we have very similar clients. But I think the book that needs to be written is How to Run Your Marriage Like Your Business.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's because there is a lot, we have a lot of, how can I put this? Small business owners, large business owners, CEOs, like a lot of deeply ingrained corporate,
Mm-hmm.
sort of brainiac,
Mm-hmm.
logical thinkers,
Engineering types.
non-emotional. Yeah.
There's some engineers. We have
Engineer
some people on
types.
the, yeah.
Yeah, and I know that the information, it's just a way to be able to take all of the research and all of the exercises and the ways in which we work with couples,
Mm-hmm.
and rather than speak an emotional language, I think we can just apply it into the
Mm-hmm.
metaphor of this is like a stand-up.
Mm-hmm.
And this actually came up where
Startup.
I had a client of mine that
You mean a
said,
startup?
we are doing a daily check-in with each other. And he said, I hope you don't get offended, but we call it a stand-up. And I was like, that's exactly what it is. It's a check-in on a daily basis.
The meeting
It's
is a
10 minutes
stand-up. Got it.
long. So, and I said, this book needs to be written so that we can speak your language, but you can get all the same tools rather than speaking the emotional language that makes your eyes roll into the back of your head.
Mm-hmm.
So would you write that book with me?
No.
Okay. Well, it
will
looks
not
like
write
this
that
is a
book with
solo
you.
project.
No, you should write that book with Ryan because he knows all about how to do business.
Yeah, he would be the business and I would be the relationship, and we would figure out how to write this book.
Yeah.
Wow, it just doesn't, you're not interested? I'm kind of offended now.
You're offended?
Yeah. You don't want to join me on this journey.
I will look forward to collaborating with you on a project that appeals to us both. That just doesn't appeal to me very much because I'm not into, I want to mess around on the edges with the blurry lines. I don't want to like put it in the business like silos. Do you know what I mean?
No, not at all. I'm
Like
still offended. I'm in my
even if I
defensive
think about
brain.
like run your marriage like a business, it sounds very rote. It sounds very structured, very siloed, very like,
Right.
Here are the rules.
That is the
And
purpose of this book.
Yeah, I know. That's not a book I'm interested in. I'm
Okay.
interested in playing around on the edges of the rules. Like I want to play in the gray space that people don't think about very often. And nobody wants to read that book, which is fine. A lot of people will read your book that you're thinking about.
I think so. I think it has. I think it has legs.
A lot of people will love that book.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna maybe I'll start to outline it and think about it. But
Yeah.
if you have ideas and thoughts, feel
I will
free to
help you.
email me directly.
I will, or you can just ask me. I'll send you my book proposals that I have, and you can see what a book proposal looks like.
This was more of an appeal for our listeners if they have ideas and thoughts.
Oh,
Yeah.
Well, you have about 18 days to write Laura about what it is that you think about her book idea.
That is not
because
true.
after
He
that,
will
she's no
forward
longer
your
checking
emails.
the emails. Oh, you're going to check the emails?
No, you will forward any
I'm
emails that are written
emails.
to Laura.
Got it.
To me, as I have been forwarding you for the last 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Hey, great news. This
What's that?
just showed up. Because I'm going to circle back to Chicago. I just got an email this morning that said that I have been selected to run the Chicago Marathon.
Hey, that's really exciting.
Fuck yeah. I'm pumped. So I'm really excited because, I ran the New York Marathon. That was on the charity ticket. This was on the raffle ticket. Like it's you apply and you don't know whether or not you're accepted.
That's really cool. Yeah. Chicago is very cool. Like I think it's a fun town, and I would So
what were you doing in Chicago for your nerdy purposes?
I went on a playcation. I invented that word, by the way, playcation, trademark Zach Brittle 2024.
Okay, cool.
Where I have been traveling so much for work and doing a lot of work. I just wanted to go and like do something for just me. So I went to Chicago.
All by yourself?
All by myself. Okay. And I made sure that some friends were there that I wanted to see. So I stayed with them and I hung out with another friend, and I went on a walking tour of Chicago with this.
Good for you.
With my friend Lindsay. By the way, Lindsay is she's a woman now. She's same age as you, which is mind blowing. But I coached Lindsay in soccer when she was in 8th grade.
When you said she's a woman now, I was waiting for you to say like transitioned. Like
no,
male
no,
to
no,
female.
No. She was a child when I knew her. Like I was
Okay.
quite close to her family and to this team, and Rebecca and I were like all integrated into their community.
Was she a part of the engagement process? Oh, no. Never mind. I'm confusing your story with my brother-in-law. Never mind.
Yeah. So anyway, I had to leave them. I had to leave that team, which was it was the saddest part of moving from Connecticut to Seattle was giving up on that team. And because I could have had them for 2 more years, I would have loved it. But we stayed close, or I stayed friends with a few of them anyway, including Lindsay, who lives in Chicago now with her family and her children. And the two of us just went on this like walking tour of Chicago. It was like so fun. Caught up. It was better than like going to lunch. I think that would have been kind of a little tedious. Like
Everything is better when your body's in motion. That's all.
But we're just moving and talking and looking. There's a lot of Tiffany glass in Chicago, by the way. It's a very beautiful city architecturally.
Interesting.
And I went to Second City with some other friends, and we saw comedy, and I got to eat some really good food. But the reason I went is because Ryan Airy, who is the YouTuber that we had on to talk about WandaVision and comic books, he took his YouTube channel on tour all over the country, and he had a date in Chicago, and I was like, I'm gonna go sit in this theater with Ryan and a bunch of other comic book nerds and listen to these guys talk about Star Wars and Marvel and Game of Thrones. And
oh, wow.
So I flew to Chicago to go see a YouTuber talk about comic books.
Yeah. I mean, that's dorky for sure.
That is, right?
Wow.
But it was super fun.
Hey, by the way, I was looking for things for my kid. You know, now I understand the whole wish list where you create like an Amazon wish list and you send it to grandparents because they all want to know what your kid wants for Christmas. And I found a Marvel encyclopedia.
That's
And I was like, Holden will love that. So my brother's going to get that for him. I can say that out loud because I know that my son doesn't listen to this podcast.
Your 9-year-old's not looking for relationship advice.
Yeah. Hey, we're now 16 minutes in. We haven't talked about...
I was going to say, does anybody else looking for relationship advice? Because we're 16 minutes in and we haven't offered any.
None at all.
This episode of Marriage Therapy Radio is brought to you by BetterHelp. Give online therapy a try at betterhelp.com/marriage therapy and get on your way to being your best self. Well, it's that time of the year. It's the holidays, which is pretty exciting and also can be pretty challenging for people. I don't know how you stay safe and sane. For me, a lot of my evenings look like piling up on the couch with a blanket and my people. We call it a people pile, watching a movie, usually a Hallmark movie, and staying connected to others. Another way that I stay safe and sane is through therapy. I love my therapist. You've heard me talk about her a million times. I'm going to see her later this week. We've been together for a very long time and we're just now getting started. It's really helpful for me to sit down, clear my mind, have somebody listen to me, provide feedback, and point me in some good directions. I was really lucky I found a therapist in my own backyard. That's not as easy for everybody else. In fact, right now, a lot of therapists are busy and it's hard to get into places. But if you yourself are finding that you need a little support in this holiday season or really anytime, if you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online. It's designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire and get matched with a licensed therapist so you can begin talking to somebody right away. Visit betterhelp.com/marriage therapy today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/marriage therapy. So what's on your mind?
Actually, here's what I did want to talk about today.
Yes.
Because I don't use this word, and I actually never have used this word or talked about it in therapy, and I wanted to understand it better. So, of course, I bring it to you. Manipulation versus boundaries. It came up in a session where we were just sort of like, is that manipulation or is that just a boundary? So we were kind of batting it around, and I thought, you know what, let's talk about it on the podcast because I don't know why I haven't bumped into this previously, but it doesn't come up very often. Yeah. So I wanted to dissect the idea of like, first of all, like what is manipulation? Like what's the definition of manipulation? Just to wrap our brains around it. And then I looked up a bunch of examples of what manipulation can look like in a relationship.
Okay.
So just to kind of get everybody on the same page here, manipulation is using tactics to control somebody else's behavior by exploiting their emotions or guilt. And boundaries, which is different, is clearly communicating your own needs and limits in a respectful way to protect your well-being without trying to control the other person. And this is a little bit hard. I still think that we are hoping to control somebody else's behaviors with boundaries. I mean, isn't it ultimately the hope that by communicating a boundary with someone that you're hoping your partner says, I hear and respect that boundary and I will change my behavior. To me, 100%. That sounds like
100%.
There is a hope of controlling somebody else's behavior.
But the thing about your first definition is it includes What's the second half of the manipulation definition?
It's getting what you want at the expense of somebody else.
Nope. Before that.
Let's see here. Controlling somebody else's behavior by exploiting their emotions or guilt.
Yeah, that's the differentiating point. Exploiting their emotions or guilt, right? I think we are constantly manipulating people all the time. When you put your turn signal on, you are manipulating people to understand that you are about to do something or you want them to change. Or when you are putting your brakes on, you are manipulating people to slow down behind you. I mean, we are manipulating people all the time. You're manipulating people. I am too. The way I dress, I want them to. I want to change the way they think about me.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Manipulating is not what we're doing, but we are trying to influence people's behavior all the time.
Yeah.
So
okay. So there's this when I was doing this was actually kind of a little bit of a heated debate when I was doing the Epic Wives experiment. Was teaching women basically how to change their partner's behavior by reinforcing with positive reinforcement, by saying things like, "Hey, next time you see your husband taking the garbage out, I want for you to point out and say, hey, gosh, thank you so much for taking the garbage out. That is really like a nice reliever for me to know that that task got done." And by reinforcing and positively saying like, thank you, acknowledging, appreciating, you are kind of manipulating that behavior of like reinforcing it again. You want them to do that more often. So you're going to positively reinforce it. And there was a heated debate. Aren't we just ultimately manipulating our partners by reinforcing and appreciating them? And
because I'm a word nerd, like I think we have to say what we're saying, which is when you do that about the garbage, what you're trying to do is influence behavior.
Right. Influence.
And I think we can stick with that. Like, yes, you should. It is okay to want to influence other people's behavior. That's why parenting exists.
Right.
That's why there are boundaries. Manipulation, different thing, right? This is that exploitation piece and also the guilt piece. So I think, I'm trying to influence behavior all the time with Rebecca. I tried to do it last night. And I actually did it poorly, but it wasn't manipulative. It was just bad strategy that was direct and a little aggressive. But it wasn't manipulation. Manipulation is exploitive, I think. Again, if we just stick with this definition that you have.
Okay. So
I don't want to. Here's what I don't want to do. I don't want to be like a one note person in this topic where I'm like, oh, it's this way. But I think that I guess what I'm trying to say is that we're not having a conversation about whether or not you're trying to get people to change. We're having a conversation about how you're trying to get people to change.
That's right. It's how, because it's perfectly okay. And that's the thing that I'm trying to figure out, in working with my client is saying, that doesn't sound like manipulation. To me, that sounds like you were trying to reinforce or you're trying to influence your partner's behavior by clearly communicating your boundaries, your expectations, and then they make a choice whether or not they want to abide by that. But here's where it starts to become manipulation. And I'm going to kind of go through the list and we can talk about each of these. But the first one that I have on my list is the silent treatment, which is a manipulation. Okay. I was a master at manipulation or manipulating through the silent treatment. I remember this so clearly that when I got into my first sort of like adult relationship, which happened to be with my husband, all the others before that were just me being a college student and just, sleeping over at boys' houses. But this was a real relationship. If something happened and I got upset, I would shut down and I would very intentionally hold on to sort of the power of just icing him out. And that was not me shutting down and like stonewalling because I was so physiologically aroused that I just could not communicate. That was me literally like, nope, you get none of this because I'm going to give you the silent treatment and maybe you will break first. Maybe you'll be the one that will decide like, sure, I'm going to do this. I think it used to be around things like, hey, I'm going to go out with my buddies tonight. And I would manipulate him by shutting down and giving him the silent treatment. And he'll just, I'm going to withhold sort of my love and affection. That's another way to do it. Until you decide, okay, it's not worth it. I'm just going to stay home. And I actually see this a lot now I'm seeing it in the couples that I see where people decide it's way worse for me to either like take time out for myself and go out with the boys, because what ends up happening is the result is I have to come home and my partner is pissed and I have to dig myself out of a hole, because now the behavior that I'm encountering is so like just so uncomfortable for me to be around that I just end up staying home. So they end up manipulating their partner into staying home by, like just making it very uncomfortable for them. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think
Let's see here.
like withdrawal definitely is it's a bad strategy. So I think if you're withdrawing, I like that you actually differentiated between I'm stonewalling because I'm flooded and I'm withdrawing because I'm intentionally
Yeah.
trying to send a message.
Like when we teach, I've always said I'm a master stonewaller. I wasn't. I was very collected. I was just very intentionally withdrawing my affection and communication from my partner to get what I wanted.
Yeah.
I wanted him to decide that he was going to do what I wanted him to do. And I would just not talk to him until he did what I wanted him to do. It's just a bad strategy.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, here's a couple of others. Just, using threats or ultimatums.
Sure.
I think that's pretty obvious. That seems to me like that's kind of like a big ticket shiny object that a lot of people are like, ultimatums, that feels pretty manipulative.
Think about this though. Like when you're trying to get people to change and they won't, and let's just say it's something like, I want you to stop sleeping with call girls. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let's say it's egregious and you're trying to get them to change and you're like, if you don't stop doing this, I'm going to leave you.
Yeah.
Right? There's an ultimatum.
Yeah.
Is that manipulation or is that something else?
No, I mean, to me, that sounds like a boundary, because and I will say also that maybe in your relationship, it was fine. Like at some point you said, you know what, it's okay. Let's have an open relationship and you can sleep with call girls or you can get a hand job at the massage parlor or whatever it might be. And now you're 3 years down the road, you have children, and you're reevaluating that boundary. It's okay to change the goalposts and say, we need to talk about this boundary again. This is now uncomfortable with me and I'm not okay with it. Your partner can also say, well, I'm not okay with you changing the boundary. I also need to be able to do X, Y, or Z. So I think it's okay in a boundary to be able to say, this is not okay with me. This is the consequence.
That's called leverage. Yeah.
Yeah.
But what would you consider a manipulative ultimatum? If you don't come with me to this Christmas party, I'm going to pout, or I'm gonna get drunk on my own, or like, is it more like the unhealthy boundary, maybe, or an unhealthy consequence?
I guess. Yeah, it's
Or retribution.
or maybe,
Ooh, like a retaliation or something. Yeah.
And this kind of falls into some of the other examples that I have here, which is like, if you don't come to the holiday party with me, I'm going to hurt myself. And that to me feels
that's manipulation.
That's manipulation.
Yeah.
And so that's sort of like, really preying on somebody else's like guilt. Or if we're not allowed to, if you don't allow me to get a happy ending, I'm just going to go out and I'm going to sleep with your best friend. Or I don't know. I mean, I'm just trying to think of examples that
feels less like I'm trying to manipulate your behavior and more like I'm just trying to do whatever I want. I mean, but maybe that's the same.
It is. I mean, this is why I wanted to talk about it, because it does feel blurry to me. Boundaries versus manipulation.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about what healthy boundaries are then. Like, if sometimes the way you learn about what's unhealthy is by understanding what's healthy, right?
Yeah.
Kind of reverse engineering it.
Yeah.
But a healthy boundary is something that looks like I think a healthy boundary is established by agreement. I think one of the things about manipulation is it's usually unilateral. Like I'm dictating the terms of this relationship, or I'm dictating the terms.
Yeah.
So when you're establishing healthy boundaries together, generally you have to do that together. And so that would be maybe a first differentiator.
So I have several examples.
Okay.
One would be like a time boundary. And I had this come up just in my practice. Is one boundary that I established with my clients is I have a cancellation policy of 24 hours. If you don't show up for your session and you don't notify me or
Mhm.
whatever, there's a 24-hour window. And I think most people understand a cancellation policy. And then the consequence of that, as you called it, leverage, is that you will be charged for the session if you don't show up for it.
Mhm.
Another one is if I
I don't
wait.
think I would call that leverage. I
Okay,
think I think leverage, maybe I would. Leverage, I think, is like the the lever you can pull to ensure that you get the change that you want. I think it's just a consequence. Like if you get
right.
charged for an appointment that you miss, it's just a consequence. I don't really think it's leverage. But
Okay.
but maybe, I don't know. These are blurry words. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if we're gonna figure it out. But this is, by the way, the book I want to write, which is you sort of put
Language.
stuff out there
Mm-hmm.
and people have to think and talk about it in order to come to some kind of agreement,
Yeah.
versus just following the rules.
Yeah. So there's boundaries around time of, like um, in our family, in our household, we have an agreement. And this is probably kind of what we're talking about is the not unilateral, the agreement that I have with all three of us that Sunday is family time. We're
Mhm.
all together on Sunday. And between the hours of 4 and 8 p.m. is also family time. So that's when we stop our workday. That's when
Mhm.
we don't make commitments with other people. That's when I generally am not trying to like do my own thing, like exercise or see girlfriends or anything like that during the hours of family time. Now things come up, but this is like the agreed upon boundary that we've created in our household. So there's time boundaries. There's also communication boundaries, and that's like the setting of expectations for the type of respectful communication that is acceptable. And it might be things like, it's not okay for you to call me names. If you call me names, I'm going to stop the conversation, or I'm
Mhm.
going to say, if you call me names, I'm not going to, be present for that conversation. I'll
Mhm.
remove myself from that until you are able to
Mhm.
like find better language to communicate with me. So you can create communication boundaries with clear consequences. The
Yeah.
consequence is you don't have access to me if you are
Yeah.
going to continue to call me names.
Yeah, what was the thing that you said before? Ultimatums. Oh, yeah, that's not an ultimatum, that's a boundary. Like, there's
Right.
so, again, getting a little bit cleaner.
Okay.
Um, I dig it.
Okay. What about like physical boundaries? So this would be sort of like clearly communicating like the type of physical contact that you're comfortable with. And
Mhm.
this is, actually, we had River on our podcast a long time ago. And River was really clear when I first met him. I went to hug him and he sort of put
Mhm.
his hand out to shake my hand. And I
Mhm.
think I had asked him immediately, I was like, what's that all about? And
Mhm.
he kind of explained to me, he said that as an empath, an intuit, he takes on people's energy. And so he creates like a physical boundary between him
Mhm.
and other people.
Mhm.
And I asked him about that. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been clear. So now that I'm
Mhm.
aware and we've had that communication of like, I shake people's hands, I don't hug them. I would never cross that boundary and just come in for a hug because I wanted the hug. I'm
Mhm.
aware of what his boundary is because he communicated it to me. I don't hug people. I shake their hands.
Mhm.
I'm more than happy to embrace you with my hand.
And part of why that wasn't manipulative, is that he was really clear about it. Like, I
Totally.
mean, not that it would have been manipulative, but I'm thinking like, what are the differentiating factors? I think when you're clear and articulate, um, and collaborative, that seems
Yeah.
like a big part of it too. Um,
I'm thinking about manipulation as being almost a way of chasing your tail when you haven't been clear with your boundary. And like, when does manipulation come into play in relationships? Because a lot of these examples, I've seen many relationships, well meaning, like good, healthy, kind individuals fall into manipulative patterns. And most of it is because they haven't been upfront. They haven't had the communication boundary conversations. And so it's almost like they're chasing their tail a little bit. Now there's a behavior that's going on in the relationship that I want to change, and I want to change it, but I have to have I need some leverage. And so now I'm going to start using leverage that's important to my partner in order to get the change that I'm looking for because it's out of desperation. That's where I see most people becoming manipulative. Agreed?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Here's one. I don't know if I've never used this language before, but love bombing as manipulation.
Somebody just talked to me about love bombing the other day. How do you understand it?
Love bombing is really coming into a relationship and you are bombing them with love. You are going above and beyond. And it's a way of sort of like trapping an individual, like really using all of your tactics to make them very enticed, very interested in you. And so you get them under your spell, and then you use that as control later, where it's like, well, now I've got you under my spell and now I'm going to withdraw love, or I'm going to use this sort of like hold on you that I have because it feels so good to be loved and adored in order to get what I want later.
I just looked it up. I just Googled it
Okay.
because I'm sitting at my
Yeah.
computer.
We've never
According to
used this
Psychology Today,
language.
love bombing is, and you're right, but I was like, is an attempt to influence another person with over-the-top displays of attention and affection. This kind of behavior is a form of emotional abuse. And although it can be experienced during any stage in a relationship, it's often seen in early stages. What are the 4 stages of love bombing?
Wow.
Intense idealization, devaluation, discard, repeat. It's intense.
It's interesting. I can almost see, if we're talking about attachment styles, I can see people who, like the attachment styles play into this. You're not going to see a lot of secure attachment, love bombing situations, but I think you're going to see maybe people who have the attachment of, like the love bomber would be someone with an anxious attachment. I'm going to come really close to you. I'm going to open up. I'm going to be really intensely, like love bombing you. And then once you come near, once I have you sort of like in my grasp, then I'm going to withdraw. And that's going to be part of like the anxious attachment.
Yeah, I'm going to make sure that you don't have a reason to discard me because I'm so loving and I'm so amazing and I'm so great. And, you know, when you do not reciprocate or you do not show me the same attention, I'm going to sabotage.
Yeah. Yeah. We kind of popped back into talking about different types of manipulation.
People are messed up.
Let's talk about other types of boundaries, like healthy boundaries.
Sure.
There's, obviously sexual boundaries, being able to give consent, being able to, and I talk about this too, is that consent oftentimes needs to be given every single time you're in a sexual situation. Just because you had anal sex last month doesn't mean that every time, you're in doggy style that your partner is willing and able to have anal sex. So it's being able to clearly communicate your boundaries over and over and over, and give consent about your sexual boundaries. And that also includes boundaries with other people too. What are some other boundaries? Financial boundaries. Ooh, this is a big one.
Oh, and then I guess the financials is actually another place too where there's ample opportunity for manipulation.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But you were going to speak about financial boundaries.
So just financial boundaries of like, what is the agreed upon amount of money, especially now around the holidays. I can see that people need to have that conversation of establishing a boundary early on, of being able to say, hey, this is what we as a family are agreeing to spend on Christmas presents this year, on each other, on our kids, on other people. Just being able to clearly express. Another rule that I hear a lot of people say is like, we're fine with each other spending up to, let's just say $200 on something random. But anytime we go over a designated amount, we always run it by the other person. And that's just a boundary that they have established in their relationship. When do you think finances can become manipulation?
Well, I think anytime that you're wielding like financial control or you're isolating people by limiting what they can spend, not just suggesting or putting boundaries on what spending is, but literally you're controlling it.
Yeah.
In order to keep them, say, bound up to you. Like maybe they don't have enough money to establish their own autonomy or freedom. Like that is definitely a manipulative tactic for sure. I do see it a lot. And it's not strictly guys who are like CEO types or who are earning a lot of money, but sometimes those guys have traits that are highly manipulative. It's actually why they get really good at being a CEO or a high-powered business person. You know, so I'm not about to put everybody in the same category, but that is
Is it manipulative if you use I'm just thinking of, let's just say you have an earner in the household and they're making 3 times the amount of money as their other partner. Both partners are working, but one is making 3 times the amount. And so when they have, I don't know, when they come home and they say, yeah, I bought a boat and I didn't run it by you and I don't need to because I make 3 times the amount of money than you do. Is that manipulation?
Well, that's just being a jerk. I mean, it's not quite you're trying to change somebody else's behavior unless you're sending this overt message or covert message that I am in charge and that you need to stay in line or else I'm going to, show you who's boss.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of others. Here's well, I don't see this very often, but the idea of triangulation as manipulation. This is using a third party to create jealousy or
Which
competition.
also can be your kids.
Your kids can be manipulation? Oh,
no, you can use your children to triangulate and create jealousy against your partners.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Oh, man. That's a really tough dynamic, a really tough one. Yeah, I don't see this one so much in my practice, but I definitely saw or participated in this when I was younger.
Sure.
The idea of like, I'm going to show you, like, I'm going to make you jealous. You haven't been giving me time and attention and affection. And so I'm going to go to this party and I'm going to flirt with this other guy just to show you that I'm still desirable and don't step out of bounds with me because I'm going to punish you by making you jealous.
So I have a question for you. Did you get what you needed out of this conversation? Like, do you understand manipulation versus boundaries better?
Yeah, I think what I came to was the understanding of like, how do well-intentioned, loving, smart, intelligent, sane, secure people move out of boundary into manipulation. And I think that it is, I said it before, that it happens when you are chasing your tail, when you haven't had that agreement with your partner and clearly communicated your boundaries. And what you're trying to do is you're having an unpleasant situation, an unpleasant feeling. And instead of communicating to your partner, here's something that I'd love to discuss with you, you're kind of back ending it. It's a passive aggressive way of trying to control the other person's behavior. So if we're going to talk about how do you prevent an unpleasant feeling or behavior, it's really what Dr. Gottman would talk about is like a gentle startup, being able to clearly communicate, here's my discomfort, here's what I'm seeing, here's what I need. And if you're able to do that, then you are not, kind of going around the conversation and trying to get what you need without having that confrontation with your partner. It's like a passive aggressive confrontation.
Yeah.
I see it a lot actually with my nice guys. We talked about nice guy syndrome. We had Robert Glover.
Drug lover.
Richard?
Drug lover.
Yeah. We had him on, and these nice guys are very manipulative because they are wanting to get what they want without having confrontation with their partner. And so what they end up doing is backhandingly sort of manipulating their partner into giving them sex, giving them affection, giving them, what am I thinking of? Commitment in ways in which they just couldn't simply ask for it. So, yeah, I think I got what I needed. Did you?
Yeah, no, for me, it's going to be like, man, this without saying, I feel like I don't know what I was talking about. It was an opportunity to go, I think I need to get sharper in this space because there is, I can kind of see it in front of my eyes.
Yeah.
I can sort of recognize unrelational behavior or manipulative behavior, like when it's happening right in front of me. It's harder for me, obviously, to sort of talk about it and to have clear, cohesive point of view. So I think it's actually been quite helpful just to kind of speculate about it. So
yeah, I actually think this would be a really cool lecture to do I do lectures from time to time for the Gottman Institute. I think
Yeah.
this would be a really great topic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, let's land this plane.
Yeah.
Congratulations to me for the Chicago Marathon.
Okay. Yeah. Congratulations
That's coming
to
up
you.
October 12th, 2025. That is not a charity run, so I won't be raising money for it, but I will be going for a good time, a good pace.
Yeah. Cool.
Cool.
I don't know. Who knows? Maybe I'll go back to Chicago and just like enjoy the town that weekend.
And just
I'll have a little
hang out. You
playcation
can be
just
my
for
hype
myself.
guy.
Yeah.
That'd be so cool.
I know.
All right. Well, let's land it. Adios. We've got 2 more episodes before I have my departure.
Yeah. We get to
Cool.
record 2 more times. No
All right.
interviews, just you and me. So let's come up with something good for you to have it like your going away party. Maybe we'll have like a going away party.
I love it. All right.
Right on.
Adios. Thanks so much for listening to this episode of Marriage Therapy Radio. At the top of our discussion today, we mentioned sort of the behind the scenes. These are kind of like the juicy after dark details that Zach and Laura talk about. If you're interested in getting the behind the scenes, you can become a Patreon member. And from there, you'll have access of all the little juicy details that we share not on the podcast because maybe they're a little X-rated, which this story happened to be. You can do that by going to marriagetherapyradio.com. Tab at the top says Patreon. You can become a Patreon listener for as little as a cup of coffee a month. That's pretty easy. That's awesome, right? Thanks so much for all of your time and attention, making your relationship better today than it was yesterday.